and welcome to another episode of Data Lounge, where we take a more relaxed and fun approach to data. We have with us today someone that really likes coding, even though he's a data person. We have with us today Ben Savage. Ben, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me here. It's looking forward to talking to you.
That's absolutely, we're delighted to have you here. So our audience might not be seeing that, but I see a lot of code in your screen right now. And that means that he's been up to some sort of entertaining stuff. So Ben, what are we going to be talking about today?
So today we're going to be talking about Azure Durable Functions.
Okay, durable functions, that sounds new to me.
So they're like Azure Functions,
Okay.
except durable. So these guys, they run asynchronously. They're for your long-running tasks, your background work, or other big, long things that you don't want to wait for.
Oh, okay. Because yes, I think normal functions have a limit in terms of how long they can be running, right?
They do, yeah. So there are a couple of reasons for that. One is that the function's runtime times out.
Okay.
The other is that things that are listening to your function for it to finish, they also time out.
Okay.
Your
Perfect.
function goes unresponsive, and then all hell breaks loose.
All hell breaks loose.
Yep.
Okay, let's take a look. Let's get started.
Okay, cool. So I have my long-running task here. This is something that you would run in the background. So it may be a big data copy or some other big, long thing. Right now, I'm just delaying for a second.
Okay.
So I'll wait for a second, and then I'll return a message saying I've finished. So this is called from a standard Azure function. It calls it 20 times. This is kicked off just with a normal, bog standard HTTP trigger. Nothing special, nothing unusual.
Okay.
Writes it 20 times, and then returns that value there, or returns a list of values there.
Okay. For some of our viewers that might not be that familiar with Azure Functions and the development, right? This thing that you're seeing here, this is Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code, yes, right?
Yes, this is all Visual Studio Code. You can download it from Microsoft.com somewhere. There's a plugin for VS Code for writing Azure Functions. That's what I've got installed, running. Hit F5, and it will run your function for you.
Okay, perfect. So what we're doing right now is, so you have two activities. One that is the long-running one, which is the one that we're simulating with the 20 times
my wait.
execution, right? Your wait, and then you are invoking that from somewhere else.
Yes.
Okay.
So once this is up and running, which it will be anytime soon.
Just right now trying to compile, and it's going through all the code of the function, right? That's basically what the process is doing right now.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's going through the code, compiling it, starting up the runtime, and now it is running. And it's listening on this URL right here.
Okay.
So I'm going to break out into Postman.
Okay. So for some of our viewers that might not be familiar with Postman, this is basically an HTTP tool, right? To try to test HTTP commands, basically.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's my personal favorite tool for making HTTP requests to web services, websites, those sorts of things.
Okay.
So I'm going to kick that one off right now. So this is going through, as we saw in our code back here, 20 times. It goes through, adds a message
Okay.
to a list of messages, and this is going to take about 20 seconds to run.
And but basically this right now, this is getting stuck here, right? We're not seeing anything happening, and the function is not, it's just waiting for it to actually execute.
Exactly, it's completely unresponsive. There's no real way of telling whether it's doing something or whether
Okay.
it's died behind
Okay.
the scenes. And here we are, it's come back. There's my 20 messages from 0 to 19. It's finished. Great.
Okay.
Not the best experience in the world. I had to sit there for 20 seconds, or we had to sit here for 20 seconds, waiting for that to come back. So there is a better way, and that is where durable functions come in.
So this behavior, this pattern that we just saw, is the normal pattern that we would have if we have traditional Azure functions, the ones we've been using so far, and it basically does not give you any feedback. If it's a long-running process right now, here we have from your code sample is 20 seconds, but if it's a real life scenario, it could easily be half an hour, 1 hour, or even more than that, and you're just looking at the screen.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or even worse, you've got another system that's consuming it, and your system assumes that your function has died, so it starts retrying. So if you've got an expensive process on the end of there,
yes,
a very resource-intensive process, it's going to be retrying it, queuing that up as it goes along.
Wow.
Which could cause unintended consequences,
yes,
is the polite way of saying
It's the polite way of saying it. Okay.
So we can make this a durable function.
Okay.
We can create a durable function.
And how hard is it to create one of these new durable functions?
It is reasonably simple.
Okay.
So we can open our command palette, and in our Azure Functions plugin, we've got the option, create a new function. I'm going to create a durable functions orchestration.
Okay. That's how it's called, a durable function orchestration.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to call that one long-running durable.
All right.
The namespace for my code is all just going to be data.lounge.
Understood.
And that's all it needs from me to be able to go off and create a templated durable function.
A templated durable function. Okay, so basically what's going on right now is Visual Studio, we're telling Visual Studio Code, hey, I want to create a new durable function, Azure Durable Function, and it's creating the basic template for it, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
Understood.
And now he's come back here. There are a few things that it creates in our one code file that it has created.
Mm-hmm.
The top one up here, this is our overarching orchestration.
Okay.
So this should be, there's nothing unusual particularly for anyone who's sort of familiar with Azure Functions themselves.
Mm-hmm.
It has, this trigger here is an orchestration trigger. That's a special type of trigger. And it passes in a context. And your durable orchestration context is your controller for all of the activities that come through there.
Okay.
There's some boilerplate code that we will change shortly.
All right.
The second thing that it creates is an activity. So an activity is your unit of work that happens within a durable context.
Okay.
These are the individual tasks that you do.
Okay, so we have the concept of context first, right? And then we have activities happening inside that context.
Exactly.
Okay.
So nothing by default starts these. They don't start themselves. Mm-hmm. So you need some sort of trigger to start your orchestration.
Okay.
The one that comes out of the box is an HTTP trigger.
Okay.
Which exactly the same as the synchronous one that we saw before. There's just an HTTP trigger. It passes in this orchestration client.
Okay.
It's going to take a task and say start this orchestration, and that's kind of all it does. It takes the starter, starts a new call back to the function that's up at the very top.
Yep.
And it returns a check status response.
Okay.
That's a special one that we will look at shortly.
All right.
So I don't want to do just this bit. What I want to do is run my long tasks.
Okay.
So I'm going to go exactly the same as I had in my other function. I'll go var tries equals 20 for var I
equals. There we go.
Phew.
Okay.
And I'm going to copy this line here to save me from having to type it.
Good. The power of copy paste.
Oh yeah. So we've got our outputs here are just going to be a list of strings.
Okay.
And here we're adding to our list of strings context.call activity async.
Correct.
So from our context here, we're calling out to the activity that we've defined down in the middle there. And we're going to pass in I as a parameter there.
Okay.
get rid of this
This one's already.
that one as well. So this is where we're going to actually do our work, do our thing. So we're going to make a little change to that. We're going to change that to an async task of string. So it's going to run asynchronously, return a string, and we're going to change that to int id. And all we're going to do from within our activity here is we're going to go return long task runner dot run long task id.
So we're basically using exactly the same long running task that we had before, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So whereas in our other one we were appending this task.
Yes.
We're doing exactly the same thing up here. Okay.
Good.
The rest of it does not need to change.
Oh, so that's it.
That's it. That's done.
Okay, so that was a lot of code, but he was cheating. He got a lot from templates available already.
I don't want to write stuff. I'm lazy.
Okay, let's use that. Okay, perfect. So what are we going to see next? Okay, so we have the code now. We have a durable function with 3 different elements within it, right?
Yeah.
What's going to happen next?
So what's going to happen now is we're going to start this back up in exactly the same way as we did previously.
Okay.
That's going to recompile, start up the runtime, do all of the...
So it's going to send, again, all the code, it's going to compile all the code, and it's going to generate a similar web location like the one we used before that we passed to Postman to test?
Yep, exactly the same, just with a different function name because we've given it a different name.
It's a different name. Okay, perfect. And something really interesting as well is Visual Studio Code is you don't have any kind of dependency of any kind of web components. It's automatically generating these for us, right? We don't have to set up anything additional besides downloading the extension for functions, correct?
Yeah, exactly. The rest of it is just all knows itself.
Okay, it's all there. And the code for these new durable functions, is it within the same Azure Functions extension, or do we need to download an additional one?
It's all within the same the same extension.
It's all within the same extension.
It's within the template. When you compile it, it goes off to NuGet and gets the
and gets the necessary bits. But
exactly.
for us as developers, we don't need to go and get 5, 6, 7 different ones. It's all basically embedded there.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. Now these functions that we're seeing here. You've made some configuration, right? Because they are running actually in the cloud, correct?
This one's running on my laptop.
This one is running on your laptop? Okay, perfect.
In a minute, we can
take
it running on the cloud.
Okay, we'll see how it actually works in the cloud. Good. Another question here while we have these compiling. So this function right now, we're of course developing naturally here, but I saw in part of the code that it included the log interface, right? So we can actually write logs and information of what's going on with the function from a more management point of view as well.
Yes, exactly. So that's something that's common in all Azure functions. It passes in this iLogger interface.
Okay.
You can hook that up very easily, very painlessly to application insights.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You can write all your outputs there. You can add your custom dimensions to your app insights telemetry, so you can get some really sort of strong, precise views on what your function is doing.
On what's going on with the function. Okay, perfect.
So we've got our new address there.
Okay.
So let's go back out to Postman. Just having a little think. We'll change this to a post request.
Okay.
Pop in our URL.
We're sending the request now.
It's sending the request. It might take a couple of seconds because it's
the first execution, right? Oh, exactly. Okay. Now we got something back really quick. We didn't wait 20 seconds for it.
And that's come back with a list of other URLs.
Okay.
So the one that we're most interested in right now is my status query get URI.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go off here. And this will tell us
where is the function.
now.
Let's see.
It's running.
There it is. Oh, it's great.
I've got no outputs yet, but
Okay.
we are at least running.
But it's running. And it's not stuck. It's actually, we're querying, we're finding out the state, and it's actually working.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's make it a little bit more helpful. Since you mention it,
Yes.
let's go back to our context.
Okay.
This is back to our orchestration at the top.
Yes.
Context dot set custom status, and we're just going to go.
Oh, interesting. So we can actually customize some sort of output of what it's doing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Done I of, let's go I+1, because we've done it,
Okay.
of tries.
Let's take a look.
Let's take a look.
We're going to compile again. So it's really interesting because it seems it's generating like additional objects, right? It's generating additional URLs. We're going to talk a little bit about what those are, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So behind the scenes, it's sitting there in Azure storage, creating state.
Okay.
basically, monitoring state.
Okay.
Oh, hello.
Okay, we seem to have a message there.
I got a little bit enthusiastic with my F5. Oh, there we are. That's
It was
better.
going too quick. we're getting used to geekness now, right? It's just definitely what happens when we're really confident with the tools, right? Just get
Oh, of course.
too many F5s way to follow that each other. Good, perfect.
So we'll go back here.
Okay.
We'll call our durable function again.
Okay. See. There it is.
There it is. So we get a separate URL for every instance of our function that we start up here.
Okay. Let's see the result of that call right now
Yeah.
to see what is our durable function.
And there we are. We've done 4 of 20.
Interesting. 4 of 20. There it is.
We can keep polling that. Done 8.
It's fantastic that we have the capability to actually see what it's doing. With the previous function, we were not. We were just seeing the screen, right? It's all we were seeing. We were seeing just the processing, but there was no mechanism to find out how far it was in the process, whatever that process was.
No, and there are ways and means around that. You can write yourself something that looks kind of like.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. So explain to us a little bit what's in here.
Yeah, sure. So you would say you may have a function to start your task. Take your initial task start request. Queue that up because you may be getting lots of these at the same time. Another task to actually do your work, reading off the off that queue there. And, hello.
Just went back. There it is.
There we are. And then you'd be managing some sort of shared state.
Okay.
You'd have a blob with what your current status is or how many you've done of whatever it may be. There'll be some shared state in there. And then you'd have a third function,
Wow.
for instance, getting that state and reporting back.
And this would be if this would be something that we have to build from scratch, right? So these are what I see there is three different Azure functions plus all the plumbing for writing the task state, making sure the queue is working properly, blah 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 blah.
Yes, exactly all of that, blah 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 blah.
Okay.
There's a lot there to love and tend and care for and support.
Okay.
And all of those things that nobody really wants to do that, right? You want to
Yeah, that's a lot of work. No, I already have enough work as it is. Okay.
So the durable functions extension is doing all of that for you behind the scenes.
So all these extra URLs that we've been seeing so far is, and correct me if I'm saying anything wrong, but it's durable functions creating all that plumbing for us.
Exactly that.
Okay, so
Yes.
that's one of the key advantages, without a doubt, is faster productivity here because you're just with the usage of these durable functions, you already have mechanisms to see what's going on with your function, whether that process is running or not, and it's obviously not getting blocked.
Exactly.
Okay.
It stays responsive.
Okay.
And when it's finished,
it gives the full result of the execution.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's not just Postman that understands this. There are other things that understand this.
Okay.
So you can use it from cloud services elsewhere. I'm just going to redeploy this because it's changed.
Okay.
Up to an actual Azure function in Azure.
Okay. So now we're going for real to the cloud, right? So far we were working on your desktop, and now we're going to be working directly from Azure itself.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things is the deployment process is just the same one as we were doing locally, right? I don't have to package this some way and upload it somewhere in a blob storage or anything like that. It's just native deployment.
Yep, it's just a straight deployment.
Okay.
This is part of the functions extension.
Okay.
We have this deploy to function app.
And that's
Tell it
it.
where to go, and that's it.
And that's pretty much it. What do we have in Azure right now?
So in Azure, I have just having a think.
Let's have a think.
This is just a standard Azure function.
Okay. So from an Azure perspective, what we will see is basically the same environment as any other Azure functions we might have, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there is nothing really to tell us, hey, this is a durable function. It's just an Azure function. That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The same as any other you would write.
Good. And of course, the management around it is the same, right? So we're not only talking about the visual experience of it when we're managing Azure, we're also talking about the configurations, security. It's all exactly the same as any other functions that we've had so far?
Exactly the same as any other function. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry, I reset my password earlier.
That's okay, no problem. We get bitterback password security, really important nowadays, right? Multi-factor authentication also helps sometimes in our demos. This is real, it's nothing fake, as you can
up
tell.
the sleeves.
Nothing up the sleeves.
So now we've got, this is my original function. This is my long-running durable HTTP starter.
All right.
Which looks exactly the same as any other function.
Okay.
And because it's exactly the same as any other function, we can call this from other services like Microsoft Flow.
Oh, okay.
For instance.
All right, that's very interesting.
So I have a very, very simple flow.
Yes.
Super simple, does one thing. If I open up a failed
It's a very specialized flow.
It is a very specialized flow.
Highly specialized flow.
I push a button, it executes my function, and it sends me a bing bong on my phone.
Perfect.
That's it.
So if you've been hearing pings throughout this recording, it's because actually this was happening behind the camera. Okay, so the one to blame is Mr. Ben here. The people that is recording this that you don't see right now, they've been really annoyed by the pings continuously. Laura from marketing, Dominic from video and audio support. So.
Yes, apologies.
Okay, good. So we have the flow now here,
so
right?
So we've got my flow. This is one that I ran earlier on today.
All right.
That failed. This was using the old previous synchronous one.
Yes, correct.
When this runs, obviously flow is waiting for it to come back. It wasn't coming back.
So it times out.
So it times out. And flow being flow, because it's a friendly service that way, retries 4 more times.
Wow. So this is the scenario you were talking about if this is a process that is resource intensive, right? That asynchronous task, which we could be talking about processing hundreds of millions of rows of data or invoking triggering processes in other systems. If you retry that, you're triggering the process twice or as many times as retries, which is extremely dangerous.
Yes.
Okay.
Especially if even after the 4th retry, it reports failure.
Wow. Wow. Okay, understood.
So this was a fail.
Okay.
And it took 10 minutes to fail because it times out after 2 minutes.
Yes.
Runs
And it
5
retries.
times. Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
So now Let's change the URL from the one that we copied over here.
Okay.
I couldn't remember if I copied it. Oh, good.
There we go.
I did copy it. So now we can go back here.
Okay.
I'm going to run my flow.
And then we're going to run it now.
So this is now started
Running.
up.
Yes.
It's called my function.
Okay.
It's got that response saying, here's where you can check the status.
Okay.
It's checking its status.
So Flow is understanding the status to check the status of the function.
Yeah, exactly.
Natively. We didn't have, because I only saw you copy paste one URL and that's it.
That is it.
So Flow, oh wow, this is really sophisticated because Flow then has the capability to say, I understand that this is a durable function, right? So I can understand that this is the URL or this is the mechanism I should use to check for the status of whether it's failing or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so it's not triggering that deadly retry again that normal functions would make it trigger.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. This is really interesting. And there we have some message.
And there's the bing bong.
There is.
It says I'm done.
Yeah, probably you don't get to see it. Ben has an Apple Watch. And right now you could see the alert popping up in his Apple Watch with the Flow icon in blue, very sexy blue Flow, saying that it actually worked.
Yep. And there we are. So I can grab this in real life.
Yes.
Grab this output from here and do something else with it.
Fascinating.
Do whatever you like with it.
Fascinating.
And that is more or less it.
Wow.
Durable functions.
Fantastic. It's a very significant change without a doubt for very large, complex, long-running executions. Right? When we're talking about data platforms, of course, now in this short video, of course, being a demo environment is small, right? But when we're dealing with large transactions operations, this is a life helper without a doubt.
Oh yeah, of course. This is an absolute lifesaver.
Fantastic. So thank you very much, Ben. It was a pleasure to have you with us. That was a very geeky, intense coding session. So at whatever time you might be watching this, I really hope you've had a lot of coffee or tea to survive this. Thank you very much, Ben, for being with us.
Thank you.
And thank you, of course, to all of our viewers. We hope you found this at least a little bit interesting, fun, a bit weird as well with so much code, right? And if you like this, please don't forget to subscribe and hope to see you on our next video. Thank you very much.